recently we had a movie night on Mod of a Day, really.
Full day.
Where we introduced our friend who's not that big into horror to some horror movies. What did you think?
Yeah, it was a really good day. I was brain dead by the end of it.
It was a long day. We did 7 films.
Yeah, we had to cut a couple just to make it to the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. A little bit of everything. It was nice.
Yeah.
I'm now a bit of a horror freak.
See, it works. Yeah. So I think it's important to note that we are not saying that these are the 7 best horror movies. This is just a very palatable array of horror for someone who's new to it.
Yeah, so
just to give a look at what horror can offer.
Well, so basically, because the layout was there was 4 of us watching, and originally the plan was that we pick 2 films each, but I cut one of my films so I could watch my favorite film ever.
So we started our night with a bit of a strange one, I think. So it's House of Wax, that was made in 2005. And as much as it's a strange one to show someone, when I think of a horror movie, this is what I think of.
I actually really enjoyed it. I think it was like the perfect first film.
Yeah.
It wasn't the scariest thing I've ever watched, but it got the day going. The vibes were good. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved most of it, actually.
Yeah.
Jared Padalecki is not my favorite human.
Yeah. So this this film stars some really big names. So I think it's really good to watch if maybe for people you'll recognise as well. So who we've got Paris Hilton. We've
Chad Michael Murray.
Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah. Jared Padalecki, I've just mentioned.
Yeah. So lots of big names if you want to watch for that. But I think it's just really simple horror. It's a bunch of teenagers in an isolated area, psycho killer.
It was great. Simple, yeah. Big ending.
Yes, big ending. Big budget.
$40 million.
Yeah. So it's probably our biggest budget of the night. And it shows it's got good sets, I think.
Yeah, no, it was really good. We looked at ratings online and I think it was underdone.
So yeah, recommended.
By who?
You.
Oh.
Would you recommend it to a horror newbie?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was Kim's pick, by the way.
Oh yes, this was one of mine. I like more gory, body horror type of film. So something that's very heavily violent and bloody.
Yeah, rather than like spooky.
Yeah.
Jump scary. I don't like that either. But I'm being trained by the best.
We'll get there.
But yeah, I think it was a perfect starter horror film. There wasn't anything too much in it, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as much as you say, you love gory films, I didn't once at all think, it's just pure gore. Yeah, it's not
that bad, yeah.
It's artistic gore. It's really good, I liked it.
Yeah. A lot of the main marketing was around seeing Paris Hilton die as well, because it's about the time that horror fans would hate someone as feminine and stupid and girly as Paris's character.
Yeah, probably around that time was the Paris Hilton hate train, though, wasn't it? I think she's iconic.
I think she's great. But if you want to see her die, that was in the marketing. That's not a spoiler from us. Yeah.
You've had almost 20 years. But yeah, what I did find interesting, obviously, I'm a massive Supernatural fan. Yeah. And in one of the seasons in Supernatural, they actually kind of do a little, they poke a bit at this, and they have famous wax figures essentially are on killing sprees. They'd get haunted by a ghost, but obviously Paris Hilton's one of the ghosts, and Jared Padalecki plays Sam Winchester, which is one of the main characters. So I was like, that's a cool little crossover. Piqued my interest.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're a Supernatural fan as well, have a look at the inspiration. So our second film of the night was The Void. We have about the table. So this one is much more of a visual film. I think it's a lot more sensory. Sort of House of Wax will make you go away from the TV, and this one just pulls you in a little bit more to be like, what is happening?
Yeah, I was very confused.
Yeah, it's the Lovecraftian. It's all based on practical effects. Like the guys who made it, they worked in the art department for really big films like Shape of Water and stuff like that. So it is very visual. So if you're looking for some nice practical, crafty horror, I think it's a good shout. Do you have any opinions on The Void? No. Yeah. The plot isn't as memorable as some of the others.
So like I vaguely remember it being like a good film, but with it being so confusing and it only being like the second film we watched in the day, it was a very overwhelming day for like someone watching, like, because everyone else had watched almost all of the movies and I had never seen any of them, so it was really hard to like absorb all the information of 12 hours of movies, and it appears The Void has taken the cut.
Yeah, I think take from that what you will. Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. So next on the watch list was Sinister, I believe. It was our friend's pick.
Yeah. Tom.
And it's about some spooky tapes. I imagine if you're here, you've seen it. If you haven't, though, I really enjoyed this film. It starts with essentially any family that has ever lived in the house has been haunted, dies in some mysterious way, but it's been taped. Tapes get left in the attic for the next person to find.
Yeah.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually really enjoyed that. I did say watching it that it was probably one of my favourite films we watched of the day.
Yeah, I'm not that into ghosty, possession-y stuff, but this film I think is alright.
Yeah, but again, I think because there's like a lot of effects that go in with it, and then also like all the stunts were done, like actually done for the film. So like the fun fact that we have for this film is during the tree hanging stage, the stunt coordinator essentially botched it, and when they were supposed to like fake hang from a tree and they stepped off or whatever, they actually all started actually hanging from the tree and were choking and they had to get rescued. A pretty big botch, like.
People suffered for this one.
And you know what? It was worth it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, especially this is a Blumhouse film. For those who aren't too into horror might not know, but Blumhouse just churn out cheap, easily produced horror films. And every now and then they'll hit a really good one.
I say, like you say, for cheap horror, I think the budget for this actually wasn't that bad though. Wasn't it something like $3 million? And I think that's a perfectly fine budget for a horror film.
Yeah, for keeping it simple, doing what they did.
And then going back to like you saying that you're not really into like possession, haunty type things. I think because this film is like, it feels more investigative because the dad's like obsessed with trying to work out what's going on and trying, because he was writing
he writes
books.
True crime.
Yeah, so he keeps moving his family into crime houses to try, and then that he writes books about them. He's quite famous for it. He lies to his wife and he's like, no one died here. So obviously he found all these videos. Yeah. He finds all these videos and he's like obsessed. He's like, this is the best thing since Christmas. But obviously he comes back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good introductory horror one.
Yeah, it was good, yeah.
So, movie number 4 of the night was Evil Dead, the 2016 remake. This was one of my choices. It's gory, it's bloody, it's body horror. It's fabulous. And it is a remake, so I know the horror fans will start going crazy and be like, it's not as good as the original. But for introductory horror, I think it's great.
Yeah, like obviously I've not seen the original yet. This was my introductory horror. But what I liked about it is I think the newer graphics makes things much easier to watch.
Yeah.
And obviously when you're watching older stuff and if you don't like practical effects and all that there, you're not going to be as into it. And I just think it helps ease the process along. It was nice. It was a fun little film.
Yeah. Aesthetically, I think it's great.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. I really liked... Who was your main woman?
Oh, don't ask me names.
Okay.
The main woman.
I'm sure she was in something before.
Was she another Supernatural?
Yeah. What was she called? Jane Levy? Was that the one?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. She's in another horror film. I can't think of it. Let us refer to our not notes.
She's in
Don't Breathe. Oh, my phone's locked.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. There was also, I can't remember actually which one who Elizabeth Blackmore played.
She was the blonde white girl, the girlfriend, the one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know who she is. And again, for any Supernatural fans out there, she also co-stars in it as Lady Tony, British Men of Letters. That's if you make it that far. And then she's also in Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Again, my forte. Love it.
Yeah.
Plays Valerie, one of the original heretics. Don't like her in it. Don't like her in Supernatural either. Not the actress.
Yeah.
The characters they play. So maybe she's a great actress. I thought she was really good in this.
Yeah, I think all of them are great. I think we had a strong reaction to a lot of the characters, didn't we?
Yeah.
So I think that's great because
there was deep emotion one way or another.
Yes.
Towards the characters, not a like meh. They're all right. You either loved them or hated them.
Yeah.
Great acting.
Really like it.
And then the budget for this film? Quite high budget actually. You said we weren't going to have many high budget films. I believe we've got quite a lot.
Yeah, I suppose maybe 50-50 split.
Yeah, but again, we're after the mixture, aren't we? So
yeah.
This was about $17 million US.
Yeah.
Again, it does seem quite high budget compared to some of the ones we have mentioned before.
Yeah, but they really focused on the special effects, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. So the fun fact for this is they basically did the maths and they said so this is in gallons. I have the conversions here. I don't work in gallons. So in the whole of the film, they use 265,000 liters of blood for the whole film, which is so much blood. Like, it's crazy. But the final scene alone, and if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. 265,000, 190,000 liters of that was used in just the final scene, which
iconic.
I can believe. They also compared this to like the original film, and in the original film, in total, they only used like 1,000 liters.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's like when you hear "Go Big or Go Home," and they were like, "Yeah, we're going really big."
But yeah, I think definitely a watch if you're not used to watching the 70s and 80s horrors.
Yeah, I thought it was iconic. There's some scenes that are just perfect.
So our next movie was an absolute classic. It was The Thing by John Carpenter.
Taking it all the way back to 1982.
Yeah.
So for you original horror lovers, we did go there.
Yeah. Technically a remake, but this is the one. It's great. So it's another practical effect film. Like, beautiful imagery, really, really beautiful. It was a really high budget film.
Especially, it's for its time, especially.
Yeah.
What was it? 15 mil?
At the time, yeah.
Yeah. So I was curious when Kim sent me the script across, and I was sat at work, and I was like, I'm going to do some math. So if you take into account inflation, in today's money, its budgets would have been approximately $112 million US, which in turn makes this the highest budget film that we've looked up.
Yeah.
That's a crazy amount of money.
Yeah. The sets are, so it's set in the Arctic. So we have that set, and then it's sort of like a creature feature monster movie, right?
Yeah.
So all effects went on. Oh, it's so good. It's gold. Beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
It is an atmospheric horror though. So if you're not into slow burns, it might not be for you. But it's centered around paranoia and that comes from isolation and how that can affect the psyche, and yeah, it's great. It's psychological, beautiful, I think.
Yeah, and you can see like how each person reacts when they're under this high pressure situation, when they're like introduced to the idea of the supernatural per se.
Yeah.
And like obviously some people are like, be chatting shit. And some people try and get on and deal with it. And so that's really interesting to see. Like, I really liked like the human psychological effects of it as well.
Yeah.
And like, even though you said it was a slow burn, in the order that we watched these films, it was nice. Especially after Evil Dead, which was so full on, pretty much from like 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
It is just crazy. And then this, it was actually nice to take like the first 40 minutes of like, well, because even the first 20 minutes, it makes it like everything's so peaceful and serene, and there's only a couple of things wrong. You're like, what's going on over there? And then things start falling into place, and it was nice to just take a step back in between two of the craziest films I've watched. Right, we move into another one of our friends' pick, and he was dying to get us to watch this.
Yeah.
And so it's a zombie film. I'm not the biggest fan of zombies. I am if they're done uniquely, like that Korean show.
All of Us Are Dead.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's maybe it. It might be the only zombies show I've enjoyed.
We watched Resident Evil the other day, and you quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, but that wasn't like, zombies wasn't the focus, in my opinion.
No, it wasn't. They just felt like a side effect.
You know, yeah, like the point of that film was the disease, not the aftermath of disease.
Yeah.
Again, but it was unique. I liked it. It was fun. But we'll come back to that a different day. So it's Spanish, this film?
Yeah, Barcelona.
Set in Barcelona. And essentially, like, this building gets put into quarantine. There happens to be, like, there was news reporters that were doing, like, you know, kind of like 24 hours in A&E, but they were doing it with the fire brigade. And they were doing ride-alongs, so they went with the fire brigade to this residential area, because obviously they got a call over something. And I love it. The reporter was like, yes, I love it. I hope
she was so in it.
She's so interested in it. Like, I'd say that now that I've watched Scream, I would compare her to Gail. Yeah, kind of like that vibe. Like, wants to get involved, needs to be at the front, wanted the action, like a good story. And then all in all, it kicks off. It's zombies.
Yeah, and it's I think it's really cool because it's found footage through the news reporter's camera.
Yeah.
So that's its like little unique twist on it.
Yeah, it's like the aftermath is when it's found, but obviously this is like recording in the night. And like, tell you what, fair play to the cameraman. Like, he gave it his all.
Yeah. Pablo.
Pablo he really went for it. It's a really high rated film.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, it was good. But we watched it on Amazon Prime. And even though if you pay for Amazon Prime, you still have to endure ads. So every 10 minutes of this, and it's a heavy film. Like, you could cut the tension with a butter knife the whole way through it, and bam, like some random advert about, I don't know, it could be cheese. But that actually made me laugh more because our mate Tom like wanted us to watch it from like start to finish to really like, feel the atmosphere. He's like, it's so good, I love it. And every time the film came on, he was fuming.
Yeah, he was so upset that we couldn't watch it from start to finish.
But actually, I really enjoyed it more. But yeah, it's got like around 90% ratings. And do you know what? It's a fair rating.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And I imagine it felt a bit more atmospheric when you weren't watching 1,000 ads.
Yeah, so if you
In
watch
quite
it
a
on
short
Amazon,
film.
if that's what you've got. But
Yeah. I'm not saying that.
What were you going to say?
Don't download it illegally.
No one cares. I think for found footage as well, you don't feel nauseous watching it. Or I didn't, but we did get ad breaks.
Yeah, again, like I don't feel like we got to experience like what the full cinematic effect would have been. Because it's not that long of a film, to be honest. It's quite short.
No, it's short, yeah.
So obviously with the shorter films, you need the high tension the whole way through it to like carry you to the end to almost make up for the lack of length, because theoretically there'd be less detail in it. Done with a low budget, because again it was one camera, about 15 cast.
Yeah, not many at all.
Not many. But yeah, it was so good. It was so good. Found out there's a sequel.
Yeah.
Guess we'll have to add that to our list.
Next movie night.
Maybe. We just started Scream.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta watch all of them now. And the little fun fact about this is like when you watch it, and you can take this in when you watch it or rewatch it, none of the actors were ever given a script. They were never told what to do. So like everything you see is pretty much entirely like on the spot. I don't want to say improv.
Yeah,
I suppose it's not improv. Obviously, they got guidance along the way, but they never knew what their character's fate was going to be. So like actually, while the actors were like filming it, they were also quite tense during filming, and that's how you see it so well on the screen because they made me tense.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job.
Yeah.
And the last movie of the night, you're gonna have to stick with us here. It's Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We have a very special place in our hearts for the producer of this film. Actually, he's the whole reason we got into terrible horror. His film Humpty Dumpty. Yeah.
We had a look through Prime one day and we're like, oh, terrible horror. And seen The Curse of Humpty Dumpty, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna watch that. And then we went on a Scott Jeffrey binge, and then we heard about Blood and Honey, but I was going to buy it, so we were waiting out for a while. And then this movie day came, and we wanted to surprise our friend, and also to watch it last. This was last on purpose, and this was my pick.
A terribly wonderful pick it was.
It was fantastic, and to me, the perfect way to round out a heavy day of horror.
Yeah.
Because it's not his best work, and in fact, it's got fairly low ratings.
Yeah. I think that comes from the writing, which wasn't Scott.
No, Scott could do no wrong.
Yeah.
We love him.
Yeah, this was done by Reese. I can't remember his last name, but the other member of Jagged Edge Productions.
Matt Leslie. He was the extra writer as well, wasn't he?
No, he's the extra one on Blood and Honey 2. That's why I'm hoping that Blood and Honey 2 has a better plot.
We've been dying to see the second one since it was released in America in March, and we're still waiting.
We are still waiting.
They have some London shows. I might be able to go, but it just feels wrong going without Kim.
I think you should go.
Yeah, to be honest, if there's still tickets, there's a Q&A. I might hit that up. I'll let you know.
But yeah.
I'll film if I go.
Yeah, we can do a whole video. It'll be great. So it's not a good film, we'll be honest.
We loved it though, because we've seen the low budget films. Like we're talking like the £20,000 films.
Yeah.
That are obviously filmed in a day, and like 3 of them are all filmed in the same location, which is fine. You know, you got to move up in the world somehow, and we loved them. So this for us, when like our friend was like, "Oh, I didn't like it at all," but we were like, "Yes, my boy."
He's going.
We're like, "This is awesome." Like his practical effects really took a step up from like his earlier films.
Yeah.
He had a massive increase in budget. Like, was it 100,000?
Oh,
for the first one, I think it was maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think it will cost quite a bit to make.
Yeah,
considering the budgets he's had in the past.
But yeah, and do you know what? For the most part, take it as it is. I found it really enjoyable. There were some parts of it that did not need to exist. There was your woman getting her shirt ripped off.
Oh yeah.
And then just died.
Yeah, there's a little bit of nudity just to have boobs in the film, which
the classic horror boob.
Yeah, that we had a look at today. Yes.
Yeah, we did discuss the classic horror boob today, and this featured it. It's a nice, easy way to get your rating up, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Add a bit of tit. It's all right. What else did I say? Blood and Honey, and this seems very typical for a Scott Jeffrey film. To be fair, is that even though it's Winnie the Pooh, which is set in the 100 Acre Forest in England, everyone's American. And I love his films, and if he just stopped trying to make everyone talk with American accent, and I understand it, like he's almost like a cult following in America.
Yeah.
So he's trying to appeal to like the larger audience, or if this is his artistic take on it, it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's just hard for the Americans to understand the Northerners.
Yeah, but I think it'd be easier for most, say, Northern English people to be able to put on a Southern accent than to hold a strong American accent.
Yeah.
Again, I've no issue with the American accent if it's done well, but it doesn't make sense, and I can't wait till we do a proper deep dive into the Scott Jeffrey universe.
Oh, it's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, like, honestly, we're so looking forward to that episode. But for Blood and Honey, I thought it was good for what it is, and I think it holds a lot of potential for Blood and Honey 2.
Yeah.
And obviously they've just finished filming the next film in the Pooniverse. Bambi. And then next is Peter Pan.
Which may or may not have a teeny tiny bit to do with.
Gassed. So keep your eyes peeled, literally, for when we do that. You might see us in the background somewhere.
Yeah, so I think watch Blood and Honey. It's just a nice way to end your movie night, have a laugh with your friends. It's not serious, it's just a bit of fun.
I think actually, like, if you could also pretty much watch this list in reverse order, because House of Wax is another fun one you can end on.
Yeah.
Depending on how you feel, we watched it this way because things like The Wreck, Just Wreck, kind of needs to be dark.
Yeah, and we did a full day sitting, didn't we? So
yeah,
we did
like
about
midday to midnight.
Yeah.
So obviously the first 3 films were just in broad daylight. Thankfully this was before daylight savings, so
yeah, it got dark pretty early.
yeah, it was dark by about 4:30, so it wasn't the worst. Obviously in summer, get yourself some blackout blinds.
Or just do an all-nighter, like that would probably fit the horror better. Do you want to do some sort of outro?
I don't know what we do. Do we need this?